And we want to recount to you our experience so that we hope you can learn from our experience as we learned from it. As you know, Good Friday is the day that we observe the passion of the Christ, and all of the suffering and all of the hardship and the slander and everything that Jesus endured was all part of his passion, was all part of his bliss, because without all of that, he couldn't accomplish what he came to accomplish for this humanity. But for now, this aspect of being slandered, of being condemned by the very people that you are here to help, and being able to endure that with equanimity, being able to accept that. Surely all of us feel compassion and feel some drive to help others and assist others in need. How does it feel when you encounter someone who is in need of help, and then you go out of your way to try to help them? What do? They reject your help. Not only do they reject your help, but they slander and berate and attack you for trying to help them. Or rather, they react terribly to the help that you are there to give them. How does that make you feel? A few weeks ago, we talked about love. And during that live stream, we talked about unconditional love, and how unconditional love is the hardest for us mortals to give, just as it's the hardest to receive. But unconditional love means unconditionally, without conditions. And that means without expectations, including the expectation that your love will be received, that your love will be welcomed by the very people who need it, and in their own words, claim that they're awaiting it and welcoming it. And then when you give it to them, they reject it outright and then shoot the messenger in the process. This comes with the territory for someone walking the path of the Bodhisattva, just as it came with the territory for the Buddha, for Jesus, and for countless other saints and martyrs throughout history, and countless other prophets and sages and teachers and masters who, let's face it, they were welcomed by a very small handful, select individuals in their inner circle. And perhaps at times here and there, they had some success in a broader audience. But sooner or later, when the mob got a hold of them, ultimately, the will of the mob won out, as is in the case of Socrates, for example, who was poisoned by the citizens of Athens, who had had enough of his truth bombs. He was just too damn annoying. That wise old sage, he always had an answer for everything. He was so arrogant, he thought he knew everything. No, we had enough of him. It's a universal experience. And it's something that we experienced just a few days ago, leading up to Good Friday. A good friend of ours, very good friend of ours, he's a part of a Facebook group, which is Artists Against Generative AI. And he invited us to join that group. And we did. And in that group, people were sharing many things and voicing many posts, lamenting the advance of AI art, but also mocking AI-generated art. And so the group was by artists and designers who see basically their livelihood threatened. And more than that, they intuit how AI art is heartless and soulless, and that it is derivative by definition, and revisionist and degenerative. So we joined this group, and after observing some of the posts, and obviously a lot of people going through a lot of suffering because of AI art, we began posting. We began posting from our perspective, and we began sharing with the group some of our videos related to mechanical minds and related to the malfunctions of the matrix of mechanical ego mind. And we started getting into the war against AI is really the end game of this battle that philosophers and theologians and artists have been calling the war between good and evil for the souls of humanity. Because AI is really just an external information technology manifestation of egos. It's just the manifestation of the AI rational mind, but in computer form. But it's a purely mechanical expression of that. It's the mechanical rational ego mind giving birth to a mechanical version of itself. And we were sharing all this with the group as ammunition to bolster and strengthen their argument against AI and against AI art. Because we recognize that genuine art is born of the consciousness, not of the rational mind. It's born of the metaphysical self, the divine self, not the mortal vehicle, the mortal vessel, the mechanical machine. The mechanical machine can only make something that's derivative and revisionist. It can only twist and corrupt, like a photocopier. Can never produce the fidelity of the original. Doesn't matter how good the photocopier is, it's always going to be a copy. And within a very short period of time, it became very clear to us that our contributions to this group were neither wanted nor welcomed. We were essentially run out of this group. People immediately started attacking our posts. They immediately started attacking our comments. These artists, these designers, saying, this is not about theology, and you don't have to bring theology into this and religion into this and metaphysics into this. We can't recount everything that took place, but suffice it to say, our message, which is basically AI is essentially evil. AI is a manifestation of mechanical nature, which is essentially the adversary, the antithesis of divine nature. And his divinely ordained purpose is to block, tempt, corrupt, and make fall everything that is pure and of the light. Its divinely ordained purpose is to be the Shawshank prison for this humanity. That's its purpose. As we explained last week, that the escape room is the very thing that's challenging you and keeping you trapped, but it has within it everything that you need to get out. Just as Shawshank prison had everything in it that Andy needed to escape. The same mountain that gets us to the summit is the same mountain that's trying to kill us at every turn, with every foothold and every handhold. You never know when that rock is going to give away and you're going to go plummeting to your death. But without that mountain, you're never going to reach the summit. We were essentially ran out of that group. A group of well-meaning, suffering individuals, suffering from the encroachment of AI into their livelihood, into their passion, into their life's work. And along comes someone who can lift the veil on that and show them exactly what's going on. And every single person in that group reacted with ego to everything we had to say. So what you discovered in that process was that this was not a group of artists, not real artists, not high artists. This was a group of egos. There's people who are designers and they call themselves artists, modern artists, designers, whatever, but they're not conscious or aware where their art comes from, if it even comes from there. They're entirely entrapped in their egos. So really, AI encroaching on their livelihood is just one group of egos, one tribe, in this case artists, against another tribe, the people developing and programming this AI stuff, and the so-called artists who use the AI tools that have been created to produce so-called AI art. So really, it was just one group of degenerative AI artists, neurobiological AI artists, who were expressing their hate and their disdain and their loathing, which is all fear-based, of that other group of AI artists. The people who have no training, the people who have no formal ability or talent, they just have these new AI tools and learn how to put in the prompts to create something that is quick and dirty, but is pretty. It's aesthetically interesting or pleasing to look at. Into this tribal warfare of ego versus ego, of AI versus AI, comes Attlas, a messenger of Allux, and comes to enlighten them on the true nature of AI, not realizing that though everybody's calling themselves artists, they're not connected to their innermost being. They're all in their ego. They're all in their AI. So we come along and tell them how AI is evil, and that's why they're reacting to it so harshly. And what happens? Their neurobiological AI does what really one would expect, which is react harshly to the truth and to the messenger delivering the truth. And we were absolutely eviscerated. I mean, it was a bloodbath, and it really stung because we went in with obviously the quote best of intentions, but also we went in with the false assumption that these were real artists. They would comprehend and appreciate that AI, being heartless and soulless, being a cold machine, there's an absence of divinity there. There's an absence of beauty. There's an absence of love. There's an absence of truth. We went in naively, putting our faith in humanity, putting our faith in these artists, giving them the benefit of the doubt that if anybody is going to appreciate our message about the true nature of AI, surely it's going to be artists who have devoted their life This is their passion. They're following their bliss. Surely they will appreciate where we're coming from. And we were effectively, our overtures effectively ended in us being crucified as much as one can be crucified in a Facebook group. And it was brutal. And it was an eye-opening, very sobering experience. And in no way, shape, or form are we trying to present this story as that somehow we were victimized, or that's, we're not saying this to garner empathy or sympathy or something. We're sharing this, or neither are we equating what we went through in a Facebook group with what Jesus went through on Good Friday. Okay, we're not equating the two things, but they are similar in archetype. It's just a question of degree. It's only a matter of degree. And if anyone is walking the path of the Bodhisattva or yearning and longing for just awakening, just to be a Buddha, just to be awake, we need to take to heart. We need to accept the harsh reality that we face. There is no point in us continuing with naivete, false hope, but really what matters is that we not continue with any expectation that we are going to be received wholeheartedly, or that if we are received with open arms by the crowds waving their palms on Palm Sunday, and then a week later they're crucifying us on the cross, because that's how quickly the mob turns. We wanted to share this experience with you because we all have to become familiar. We have to become an embodiment of an unattached caring, compassion that has no expectations and has no regrets. So on a practical level, it's just stupid and naive to have expectations of positive outcomes. If the positive outcomes happen, wonderful, great, welcome the positive outcome and allow it to occur, just as we must allow negative outcomes to take place with the same indifference, without any attachment. Doesn't mean that we stop caring, but this is the trick. The ego's version of caring is attachment. The ego's version of caring is worry, anxiety, and desperation to try to make sure it turns out a certain way, right? It's control. And we all know this because we all have mothers, and we all know individuals like that. And we all know there's an entire generations that have been brought up with helicopter parents who believe that caring is smothering, because they're so desperate for their child to be happy and healthy and normal and balanced and successful in life. So they completely smother that child. You see, that's the way the ego takes caring and compassion and love. And we must be on guard against that. We must be aware of that, especially if we are on the path of the Bodhisattva, especially if we're here to help others, because we are setting ourselves up for tremendous amounts of suffering if we don't deal with that attachment inside of us, because we are going to deal with a great deal of heartache otherwise, because the rejection is going to be there. We will be assaulted. We will be stripped bare in the town square and judged by the mob. It's already happening. It's going to continue happening. It's only going to get worse. We have to be prepared for that. And we have to find the strength inside of ourselves to endure that without losing our compassion. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. We must never lose compassion for the ones that we are trying to help, even as they are rejecting our help, even as they're attacking us, assaulting us, and even killing us for having the audacity to try to help them, to try to love them unconditionally, to try to give them precisely what they needed in that moment. To our very last moment, we must maintain our caring for them, but not attachment to their reception or rejection of our caring.